Hello everyone, my name is Landon and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be ranking every single Richard Bachman novel, otherwise known as Stephen King's pseudonym, I think that's how you say it, his other name. Because in the 1970s and 80s, he went under a different name to publish books faster. Like, he felt he wasn't getting books out fast enough. I think that's at least the story. And his publishing company was only, he was limited to how many books he was allowed to publish, so he went under Richard Bachman so he could publish more of his books. And then later on, everybody found out that it was Stephen King, but it kept as Richard Bachman. So today, I'm going to be ranking every single Bachman book from worst to best. And now I say worst as in just not as good as the other ones. I do not think that there is a bad Stephen King novel. There are some that aren't as good as others, but there is definitely not one that I have hated. So, let's get to my least favorite Bachman novel by far is Roadwork. I just had a lot of problems with Roadwork. I thought the storyline was good, but I felt like it's already been used a lot. I really couldn't connect with the character. I don't even remember. Barton Dawes. I don't even remember that name. I didn't really connect with Barton Dawes really that well. The ending really was just lackluster of what I remember from it. And it just didn't feel like as long as it should have. Like, I know, like, it's only 400 some pages. Hardly 400 pages. It's 407 pages long. I mean, I just feel like there wasn't a lot here. Like, I just didn't really feel connected to the story as I did many other books. It was a decent book, don't get me wrong, but there are just so many better options than this one. At the numbers 5 spot? Yeah, 5 spot is Blaze. I'm pretty sure Roadwork is the only novel on this list that I have really disliked, out of all these. Blaze is Blaze and After is really good. I really liked Blaze. So Blaze is about a man who's basically a child. He has the mind of a child, and he's a semi-robber. He's not really big, but he's known but not really well known. He does small little robberies and stuff like that. And there's one day where he meets this guy, and throughout the entire novel, we're not sure if the guy that he meets is real or not. We're not sure if he's a figment of his imagination, or if he's actually real and he's following him around. And that's what I really like about this book. There's a great mystery behind it. The ending is pretty well written as well. It really gets you. And I love it in the snow. Anything in the snow really gets me. And yeah, I just think it's a really good mystery kidnapping story, and it works really well. This is the only Bachman novel that's over here on this shelf. Now we're getting to the really good stuff. At the number 4 spot, we have The Long Walk. I'm pretty sure the next 4 books are in my top 20 for favorite novels. I'm pretty sure Blaze and Roadwork were pretty low, but the next 4 novels are in my top 20 favorite Stephen King novels. The Long Walk is a really simple concept. It's about 100 young 13 to 16-year-old boys who walk until they can't no more. And the winner gets basically whatever they want. They get the prize, it's called. They can have whatever their hearts desire. But you don't just lose the game, you lose your life when you stop walking. You get 3 strikes, 1 strike, 2 strike, and your 3rd strike is your last warning, and if you get struck out your 4th strike, basically, the 3rd strike is the last warning you get. 4th strike, you get a bullet to the head, and it's a really great novel because the entire book, you feel a sense of urgency. You want all these little boys to make it. You know only one of them's going to make it, but you want all of them to make it. So there's a certain sense of urgency throughout the entire book, and that's what I really liked about this. I'm pretty sure Stephen King wrote this novel before he even wrote Carrie. I'm pretty sure he wrote this before he published and wrote Carrie. It was his first novel, and he held on to it for a while and published it as Richard Bachman later on. And it's a really good story, really fast-paced. It's one of his shorter novels, and it's really, the characters are great. obviously you gotta keep up with a lot of them. There's like Garrity, Olsen, the other boy, Stebbins, a great character. And yeah, that's The Long Walk. Let's get that back there. At the number 3 spot, we have The Running Man. The Running Man was one of the first ever Stephen King novels I read. It was like the 4th or 5th Stephen King novel that I ever read after like Cujo, The Shining, Green Mile, and 11/22/63. I think those were the first 4 that I read before this one, and then I got to this one. I really enjoyed The Running Man. I love the movie, but the movie is nowhere near what the book is, and it doesn't even come close to quality. Like, it has such a higher quality, the book. The Running Man is basically about... It's basically like The Long Walk. I'm pretty sure there's a theory that goes around that The Long Walk was like the prototype for The Running Man. Because what The Running Man is about like somebody, a man, who gets hunted down for 30 days. And if he survives, he gets basically whatever he wants. He gets the prize. So, if you lose, you die. And if you win, you get whatever you want. Sound familiar? Yeah, because it does. And the character, I loved Ben Richards. He's a great character, and the ending that he got, I feel like wasn't deserved. I feel like he deserved much better than what he got, but the ending was the ending, and you can't really do much about it. But all in all, it was an amazing novel, and I really loved it. At the number 2 spot, we have The Regulators. I'm pretty sure The Regulators and my number 1 spot have like a 4-spot difference. I'm pretty sure like the number 1 spot is like at the 10th or 11th spot on my ranking of Stephen King novels, and this is at like number 14 or 15. If it hadn't been for my second read-through of The Regulators, this would have been right next to Blaze on the list. The first time I read this novel, I really didn't care much for it, and it was pretty significantly low on my list. It was like in the like high 30s, like right next to Blaze. I'm pretty sure like Blaze was like number 31, and Regulators was number 30. I think they were neck and neck with each other. And then I decided to take another read at it, and then I just like went through it, and I loved it. I went through and I loved it more than I thought I would the second time through. And it ended up jumping like 15 to 16 spots on my Stephen King list, because I just fell in love with every character. The story was great. At times it was actually like a little comical with like some of the scenes. And I thought the ending was great. It left a good mystery behind. And yeah, it just left me thinking about a lot of stuff. Like, I just adored this novel the second time I read through it. How can I describe The Regulators? So The Regulators is basically about this suburban town, or suburban street, I should say. It takes place on a street called Poplar Street, or Poplar, however you say it. I say it Poplar. I'm spitting a lot. And one day, on a beautiful summer afternoon, randomly, a lot of vans just start rolling past the street and start shooting people up. And nobody knows what's going on. Everybody takes cover inside their houses, and after these vans roll by like 2 or 3 times, the landscape starts changing. The houses start turning into old western taverns. There's tumbleweeds going around. There's a vulture that looked like it got mangled on the streets picking at carcasses. And it's just a really fun book, and I loved it way more than I did the first time I read it. Highly recommend. And last but not least, if you have seen, I think it's in my top 10, or maybe it got bumped down. I think it got bumped down 1 spot because of The Outsider. Thinner. I am in love with Thinner. I freaking love this book. It's not too long. It has a great cast, and the affliction that happens onto the guy is terrifying. If you just started randomly losing weight and you didn't know how to stop it, what would you do? What would be your first thought that went through your head? How am I going to stop this? Am I going to freaking thin myself to death? Like, what's going to happen? And the ending is probably, I think, is my scariest Stephen King novel ending of all time, or the darkest at least. Thinner, like I said, Thinner is about a man who runs over a gypsy's daughter, and the gypsy casts a curse on him by saying one word, and that word is thinner. And then this 200 and some pound man, how heavy is he at the beginning? 246 pound man, he starts losing weight rapidly. throughout the book, he goes from like 246 pounds down to like 118 is like his final weight or something like that. He loses all of that in the course of the novel, and the struggle that he goes through is insane. His best friends got afflicted by it too. Like, there's one guy who just like you thought your acne was bad? Yeah, there was one guy who had such bad acne, it started like pussing everywhere. I don't even want to talk about it. But the ending is absolutely dark. It is totally Stephen King. It is such a good Stephen King novel, and I really, really highly recommend Thinner. The only Richard Bachman novel that I really wouldn't recommend is Roadwork. That's the only one that I'd say stay away from. Blaze, Thinner, Running Man, Long Walk, Regulators, and Thinner. Did I say Thinner twice? I don't know. Are all amazing novels. I really urge you guys to read these books if you guys are reading Stephen King novels. Start with Thinner, at least I would think. Either Thinner or The Regulators. And yeah, that's my list. So, if you guys enjoyed this list, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you're new. Let me know what your favorite Richard Bachman novel is down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.